Welcome to our town with A&A.
Hey guys, this is our first video on our YouTube channel, Our Town with A&A. My name is Afrijita.
My name is Cindy, and we're part of the Live Youth Leadership Programs at Madison Hamilton House in Chinatown. In this channel, we're going to be exploring on different areas in New York City as high school students. We're going to be releasing some podcasts to talk about different problems that we see in society. We're also going to be trying different food from different areas and telling you guys about our story and our opinion about it, if we like it or not, and if we recommend it.
So in this video, we're going to be talking about our experiences at African Burial Ground Monument, National Monument, and we hope you enjoy this video.
Let's get into it.
Experience at African Burial Ground National Monument.
It was crazy and interesting to learn about. I was able to understand and learn that nearly 416 caskets are buried around there, and like right there where we were at, and it was 25 feet deep, which is crazy to hear that that's something that's that deep. And it was also scary, like a little bit, because you know, seeing just some of the skeletons like on images and stuff, it was really scary and just crazy to understand. Well, not crazy, but like it was cool actually to understand that, you know, people actually buried their ancestors there, you know. And I was around a freaking graveyard, but not really in a graveyard, you know. It was more like a memorial, but it was cool. It was cool. I would definitely go again. So yeah.
How was your experience at the African Burial Ground National Monument?
So it's a very like sad experience, but like really like informative, because like when I went inside the actual like monument, like just seeing like the dead, like the skeletons and everything like that, like how there's so many infants, and the fact that they don't have names, so it was just like their bodies were just buried, you know, without identification. And like it just makes me wonder how like just like sad life was for them, because imagine like your family member being buried, but you don't even know if your family member was buried because you were separated. And also like there was this like these statues of like, you know, like enslaved people, and like their heights were like my height, so like I'm like pretty short, right? And like the tour lady, she told us about how because they were malnourished, that's the reason why they're like short, because you know like the nutrients, like you need that for, you know, growth. And it's just like it makes me realize how privileged I am, you know, because I don't have to face that. Well, like people in the past had to, and they had no choice to. But I honestly feel like the museum is so eye-opening, so I recommend anyone to go there. So if you want to go there in the future, which you should, please go.
Will you go again?
Yeah, of course. How was your experience at African Burial Ground National Monument?
It was okay. It was really sentimental because seeing how many people were literally on top of each other, like their graves were on top of each other because they had no space. Like some people, like white people, didn't care about them being like on top of each other, literally had no space. It's extremely unfair because we're learning about the history of this country and how enslaved people had to work so hard to make it, and for white people to take the privilege. I don't know what to say. I don't know anything. But it was also amazing how the outside part we were able to see different religions, that although we don't know that what some religions some people belong to, there were so many more. I think there were more than 5 religions in there, and that shows that unity, that shows that we need to learn our past in order to move forward to our future. And it was extremely sad but extremely informative, and I feel like everyone should go there in order to learn a little bit more about this country and how it was created.
How was your experience at African Burial Ground National Monument?
So far, I love the experience. I get to know people's struggle in America, since we all know the past has not been great. But at least we have some acknowledgement of what happened. So yeah, that's what I'm grateful for. And basically that's it. It's been a wonderful experience. The tour guide has been nice, gave us a bunch of information, including the teachers, including Mr. Ramirez, who gave us detailed responses, gave us clues. Like even us, if we were reading it, we still didn't know fully idea, and thanks to them, we get to know every single part of the burial grounds, how it spreaded like almost streets to streets, including under the Supreme Court of New York, which is surprising. So yeah, that's it.
Will you go again?
Yeah, of course.
How was your experience at African Burial Ground National Monument?
My experience at the African Burial Ground was very profound. It was the second time that I went there, and every time I go there, I just feel an energy of, of ancestors, of family, of history forgotten and reclaimed, and so it feels good to be there, like to the point that these people were lost and forgotten, buried over, and then 100, 200 years later, they were found and discovered, and the story could be told again. They could be honored. So I think that's a beautiful thing, and so I was happy to be a part of that.
Is there any piece that stood out to you?
Well, the one thing that stood out to me every time going there is when you see the bodies and what was left over and found and labeled, and how so many of them were kids, so many of them like were babies, and so that's just stood out to me. I was thinking about, we were talking about how they possibly died, what happened to them, and people were mentioning that infant mortality back then was a lot higher than it is today, of course, so that might be an issue. But I was always curious as to how those babies get there.
Will you go again?
Yes, I'm gonna go all the time.
How was your experience at African Burial Ground National Monument?
It was really eye-opening to slavery and things they had to go through, and how they were segregated from other burial places, and they couldn't be buried with white people.
What is one piece that stood out to you?
One thing that stood out to me was the bones and how many there were, and the analysis of it, and how it showed how they were overworked and how they were malnourished and stuff like that.
How was your experience at African Burial Ground National Monument?
It was good. When I went, I was I was glad to go and see the burial sites and the bones of the people that were buried, like from kids to adults.
What is one piece that stood out to you?
There was like a wall of images of everyone that was buried, and a lot of them, like some like labeled like 9-year-olds or like kids, there weren't any bones in them at all to show like they disintegrated probably, or like they weren't taken care of.
Thank you for watching this video.
Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe right down below.
See you next time.
Bye!